Hey everybody, Mark Davis. Thanks for hanging out here with us in the video blog world attached to the Mark Davis Show in some very talk show heavy times. A lot going on. Thank you for hanging out with us. Let's spend a moment on Antonin Scalia's vacancy, the enormous vacuum that he leaves on the Supreme Court. It's going to be very hard to find a replacement, and I mean that in more ways than one. As a constitutional conservative, he'll be hard, if not impossible, to replace in terms of stature and actual constitutional chops. But in terms of the path forward, it's going to be a pretty interesting rodeo. Here's how it's going to go. Here's how I see the field is striped. The president gets to nominate someone. That he gets to suggest someone, and that's all it's going to be, is a suggestion. Because yes, the president is constitutionally tasked with naming a successor. The Senate is constitutionally tasked with offering advice and consent. But it doesn't mean that it has to happen this year. It doesn't necessarily suggest any kind of timing. Can we sit on this and wait for the next president? Yes, and that's exactly what we should do. Now, no matter what Republicans do, we're going to get pilloried. It's obstructionism. You don't like the nominee. Let's say it's Loretta Lynch. God help us. She's black and a woman. So we're not just racist, we're misogynist, and it's all because the president's black and blah, blah, blah. It is none of that. None of that makes a lick of difference. If the president were to offer up a constitutionally liberal white guy, we'd feel exactly the same way about that nominee. By the way, if he were a white guy, we'd feel exactly the same way about him. Race ain't got nothing to do with this. It's about constitutional fidelity. So, is the Constitution honored, I guess is it dishonored, if the Senate says, nope, we're going to wait for the next election? It's not dishonored. There's no time frame in the Constitution. There's nothing that says, hey, the Senate is tasked with advice and consent, and it must happen within, 10 months. Not at all. So what is the objective reason? What is the arguable objective reason, other than just, I want another Scalia? What is the reason for letting this go? It's called the people get a voice. If a Democrat wins the White House, if Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton winds up naming the next Supreme Court justice, I gave myself a chill there for a moment, then so be it. They won the election. And when have we ever given the people this kind of power? Because usually we elect our presidents, and yes, presidents get to name the successors with their Supreme Court vacancies, but how many times have we just been bamboozled? How many times have we been snowed? How many times have we been, some would say even betrayed, by the occasional Republican nominee who winds up being, just not what we thought it would be? Here's an opportunity on the Republican side for Mr. Trump, Mr. Cruz, Mr. Rubio, whoever, to say exactly what kind of nominee they're going to offer up if they win, and to be held accountable. Similarly, the Democrats can offer up their ideas on whom they would name. And isn't it interesting that there's one political party that is energized about taking that case to the American people, and there's one party that's not? I think that's kind of telling. So there's the objective reason why we can come to the American people and say, look, I know the Democrats want another Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I know the Republicans want another Scalia, another Clarence Thomas, another, someone in that mold. Tell you what, let's let the people decide. I can see a lot of people across ideological lines say, okay, that sounds fair. Because we are in the election season. Here it is. If it were 9 months ago and Scalia had passed away, even I would say, oh, God, okay, he gets the pick. All right. And conversely, to earn hopefully additional consistency points, if these were the last months of a Republican presidency that I actually could stand, I would understand if somebody said, don't let this guy have a pick when we're so close to the next election. I would totally get that. I would understand that. I'd probably want the president I voted for to make a pick. That president probably would make a pick, but it wouldn't mean that, let's say, the Democrat Senate had to handle it in that kind of short order. So there we are. And now we end up going through the entire rest of this year with an opportunity for the Republicans and the Democrats to make a strong case to the American people by committing to the kind of justice that they would put on the Supreme Court to fill that Antonin Scalia vacancy. I don't know about you, but I look forward to that. I look forward to it on the Republican side. I look forward to it on the Democrat side. And then people are going to get a chance to vote. I mean, listen, it's about fighting ISIS. And on the Democrat side, it's about climate change and billionaires, whatever they want to be upset about this week. Whatever the criteria are, but on both sides, there will be questions and answers that really mean something on one of the most important issues any president will ever face, filling Supreme Court vacancies. So let's let that play out and give people a real voice in that in the election this November. I think that's an argument we can objectively and plausibly make across ideological lines, but as some people want to do, some people have said, nope, That's obstructionist. We need to absolutely let President Obama have a nominee and give that nominee an up or down vote. Are you kidding me? You haven't seen cries of obstructionism, cries of racism, cries of misogyny if it's a woman. You haven't seen the kind of festival of slander that you're going to see if we actually get a nominee through the Senate meat grinder and they get a no vote. Better to have no hearings than have hearings that go that way. Who's with me? Well, I guess I'm about to find out. Call the show, hang out with us on the show. Appreciate it very, very much. Mark Davis Show, 7 to 10 a.m. weekdays Central Time, right here on 660 a.m. The Answer.